Hi, welcome back. I'm Melissa Laing, and today we're going to be discussing breathing, part 2. So what we wanted to talk about today is just your capacity to be able to take in at least 2 litres or 7 pints of air in one breath. Obviously we don't practice that in our day-to-day life, but that's what we have the capacity to do. There's a lot of research to suggest that your longevity, the lifespan that you live, is increased by the ability to breathe deeply and fully. So what we want to experience today is the opportunity to expand your breathing. Most of us tend to breathe through our throats or the chest, and over a period of time that can recruit your accessory breathing muscles. We don't want to do that. We want to relax those muscles and de-stress those muscles, and so we want to use our intercostal muscles, which are the muscles that live between your rib cage and open and close, and our diaphragm. And we also want you to get to breathe right down deep into your tummy. When you breathe into your tummy, it kind of takes you back to when you were a 3-year-old and you didn't have any stresses. So it relaxes your diaphragm so it can take in more oxygen. And by doing that, you also impact the psoas muscles, and you can relax those as well, which tend to get quite tight if we're not breathing well and if we're in a sedentary type of lifestyle where we're sitting at desks for long periods of time. So what I want you to do is first to learn to breathe into the back of your lungs instead of breathing entirely into the front of your lungs. I want you to start to use what we call the boot of your body. So I want you to find yourself a strap of some kind, and because your body will naturally respond to what it's feeling, I want you to pop the strap around your back. Oops. Get it nice and tight. You want to be right down low onto the lowest part of your ribs. And I want you to pull on the strap so that when you breathe in, like an accordion, you want to breathe outwards and into the back of the strap. And you want to let the breath go into the roof of your mouth so that it sounds more deeper and resonates more down the back of your throat. It's different from breathing into the front of your chest. So you're going to take a breath in and you're going to breathe in slowly. Trying not to breathe into your shoulders, so not to lift the shoulders, but to keep them relaxed, and again, just to expand and feel the breath by pulling on the strap. Feel the breath go into the strap. And as you exhale, again, think of squeezing tight the strap and really corseting the waist down around, or the rib cage down around the spine. So let the tummy expand, let the back of the ribs expand, fully expand. Try and get or start thinking about those pints, whether you're able to take in 1 pint or 2 pints, and just start expanding your ability to breathe in deeply and exhale. It's going to take you a little while initially, so give yourself at least 10 goes before you sort of give up the ghost and want to walk away. Now, the other thing we need to talk about is your pelvic floor muscles. When we take a breath in, our diaphragm drops down and all our internal organs move downwards towards our pelvic floor. What we're trying to do in Pilates is try and get this sort of unified movement of diaphragm and pelvic floor, so almost like a piston. As you breathe in, the pelvic floor is relaxed, and then as you exhale, the pelvic floor lifts the internal organs. So essentially the organs are having this up and down experience, and then as your corset muscles, your transverse, tightens on the out breath, they're actually getting a slight hug as well. So in essence, a lot of the time we don't talk about what's happening to our internal organs, but this roof, floor and surrounding walls are all working in conjunction with each other to support and house our internal organs. And as a result of these muscles getting stronger, obviously we're going to start to feel better because our internal organs are going to be better positioned and able to properly function and do their job. So now let's just go back to the pelvic floor muscles. Now there's many different ways that you can anatomically explain this, but I've found that the simplest way to explain it is just to be very direct with you. So with my clients, I say to the fellas, look, you just want to be able to feel that you could lift your balls up into your tummy. And now with the women, you want to imagine what it's like to have sex, and then you want to focus on that squeezing action that you might do during that. So both of them need to have an upward feel. There are back pelvic floor and there is front pelvic floors. And I find it funny that 10 years ago I couldn't speak like this, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. So you have at the front of your pelvic, your pubic bone. You have your 2 sit bones that we can all feel if we were to sit on cold concrete, and you sit in your tailbone. They make up a diamond, and within that area are your pelvic floor. So there are front and back. Essentially those muscles are squeezing tight and acting more or less like a trampoline lifting up. So what I want you to try is to take a deep breath in, expand the abdominals, and allow yourself to float for a few seconds, feeling yourself right up with air, and just hover in that feeling of being full of air just for a minute, just to get those muscles used to it. Now consider the pelvic floor muscles. So as I said, lift or squeeze, and then as you exhale, continue that feeling and allow yourself to fully breathe out, letting the air travel quite a while until you feel like there is no way that you could take a single breath out, like it's completely gone. You've wrung your tummy completely of air. What will happen is, quite naturally, whenever we work our pelvic floors, our transverse abdominis does engage, but quite naturally, because our abdominal muscles are secondary breathing muscles, they will contract. So if you're having a hard time feeling your abdominal muscles, you really need to ask yourself, can I hear myself breathe out? And is it a long, steady exhale until I can't breathe out anymore? Okay, let's try something a little practical now. So remembering your alignment, you want your heels to align with your sit bones, and you want your feet to be spread and relaxed, because you'll often take tension into your hands and feet and shoulders when you're thinking about something new. So just keep drawing your mind back to how relaxed your body's feeling. Ideally, you want your entire body to be relaxed. So when we do teach this, we tend to take people through a relaxation process of letting them relax, release, and let go as they work one by one through each and every vertebra, starting with their feet, then their pelvis, and working all the way up through their spine. Ideally, what you're wanting to imagine is that you're just softening and relaxing into a nice warm mud and gently making an imprint of your spine into the mud. Naturally, you'll have some curves, your lumbar curve and your cervical curve. They won't imprint as heavily, but ideally you want to just let go of any unnecessary tension that's there from your ligaments, your tendons, or your muscles, so that you can find your neutral or natural spine position. When you're in this place and you've relaxed, you then want to take your hands. Now, the thumb needs to be at the back of your abdominals and at the back of your waist, so that you can feel the recruitment of your transverse abdominis. It's the only muscle that wraps right round to the back and into the thoracolumbar fascia. All your other abdominals start at the side and come forwards or come down through the middle. So it is the only one that acts like a girdle. So you want to be able to feel that activation at the back of the body. Consider this part of your hand as the waist of the hand and then the fingers. And in much the same way that your fingers sit on your abdominals is the direction of the fibers of your transverse abdominis. So when you breathe in, like I said, take the breath into the back of your throat, allowing the breath to expand into the thumbs, into the waist of the hand, and then up into the fingers. So breathing in, keeping this area all expanded like you've inflated a balloon. Allow yourself to just feel and have the space between the breath of feeling like you're full of air. At this point, then draw your attention to your pelvic floor. Now either lift or squeeze, and as you deflate the abdominals, notice that what you'll feel is activation here. The waist will narrow, and the fingers will deflate, and the muscles will pull wide and flat across your hip bones. You'll feel your waist narrow. So if you think like an hourglass, you've got to consider the direction these muscles are contracting. Quite often, we will recruit our glutes back here and our psoas and tuck our pelvis. We're not after that. If you could think of your pelvis like a bucket, and that your spine is like the stick sitting inside the bucket, your pelvic floor is the mop. You're going to squeeze the pelvic floor. You're going to feel like the spine could be pulled out of the bucket, and you don't want to tilt the bucket forwards or back. Later on, we'll talk about the use of the iliopsoas as a form of a set of hands helping to elongate the spine along with your core stabilizers. Tom Myers refers to this area as your deep front line, and you'll notice later as we talk about these things how important that deep front line is. Okay, so let's just take a nice deep breath in. So first of all, breathing into the thumbs, the waist, and then the fingers, allowing yourself to just float with that air inside you, connect with your pelvic floor, and now as you exhale, let the heart drop down into your chest and breathe out. Feeling the muscles activate where the thumbs are, feeling the waist narrow and feeling the muscles in front of the tummy pulling wide and flat. And right as you get to the end of the breath, where if you just feel your hip bones and come in a little, you'll feel your internal obliques kicking in right at the end. It will feel like a little lift, just where your fingers are. So the muscles will deflate. And remember, it's deflating, not tensing. We can all tense our muscles, and we do so when we cough, laugh, and sneeze. They're the same muscles, but in this example, we want to allow them to contract around the spine. So it really almost needs to feel like you're surrendering to the breath. And by doing that, as I said, right towards the end, you'll feel that little lift, which will be your internal obliques that are kicking in as secondary stabilizing muscles. What's happening is your corset muscles are stabilizing your pelvis to your rib cage. Your pelvic floor muscles are coming together and stabilizing your pelvis. So, as a whole, it's allowing this lumbar spine to be well supported and your internal organs to be well housed.